The boundary between the world you know and the realm that exists just beyond your perception is not made of stone or fire. It is made of water. In the depths of Scandinavia's lakes, in the rushing currents of its ancient rivers, in the cascading roar of its waterfalls, and the silent darkness of its forgotten wells, there exists a threshold so fragile that a single step toward the water's edge might be the last choice you ever make. This is not a tale of monsters born from imagination. This is an exploration of something far older, far more deliberate, and infinitely more patient. The Nøkken is not a legend that faded with the arrival of electric light and paved roads. It is a presence that has watched the forests grow and die, that has seen empires rise from the north and crumble back into soil, that has claimed more lives than any written history dares to count. Before we venture deeper into this spirit, understand what you are about to encounter. The Nøkken is neither demon nor angel, neither wholly evil nor capable of true compassion in any way a human heart might recognize. It is primordial. It is intelligent. It is profoundly alien to the moral framework that governs human existence. The waters it inhabits are not merely its home, but extensions of its will, each ripple a calculated movement in a hunt that never ends. Scandinavia's relationship with water is written in survival and terror. For the Norse peoples who carved their existence from these harsh lands, water meant life. Rivers provided fish, lakes offered passage, wells sustained communities through brutal winters. But water also meant death. Drowning was commonplace, sudden, and often inexplicable. Children vanished while playing near streams. Young women disappeared after fetching water at dusk. Fishermen who knew every current of their local waters were found floating face down in shallows they had navigated for decades. The Nøkken provided an answer to these tragedies, but not comfort. It transformed random death into intentional hunting. It gave the formless terror of drowning a face, a purpose, and most crucially, a set of rules. If you could understand the Nøkken, if you could learn to read the signs of its presence and respect the boundaries it enforced, you might survive. Ignorance was a death sentence written in cold water and failing lungs. The spirit's domain spans the freshwater systems of Norway, Sweden, and Iceland, though it wears different names and subtle variations in behavior across these regions. In Norway, it is the Nøkken, a name that carries the weight of 1,000 drowned souls and the echo of mothers' warnings to children who played too close to the shore. In Sweden, the Nøkken possesses a more ambiguous, occasionally benevolent, but never truly safe. In Iceland, the Nøkkur adapts to the island's unique landscape, where coastal pools and volcanic springs create territories as deadly as they are beautiful. Yet despite these regional differences, the core remains consistent. The Nøkken inhabits still waters primarily, places where the surface acts as a mirror and the depths remain unknowable. Mountain lakes surrounded by ancient pines, rivers that slow to near silence as they wind through valleys untouched by human settlement, waterfalls where the crashing sound drowns out any cry for help, wells dug so deep that daylight never reaches the bottom, where the water is pure and cold and feels somehow aware of your presence as you draw it upward. These are not random hunting grounds. The Nøkken chooses its territories with deliberate calculation. It favors locations where humans must come, where necessity overrides caution. A community's only water source, the sole river crossing for miles, the lake that provides the richest fishing grounds. By claiming these essential places, the Nøkken ensures a steady supply of victims who cannot afford to simply stay away. The water lilies that bloom across these surfaces are often called nøkkeros in Norwegian. They are breathtakingly beautiful, white petals floating on dark water like stars fallen from the northern sky. Children and young lovers alike are drawn to pick them, reaching out from the shore or leaning from boats to claim these perfect blossoms. The Nøkken cultivates these flowers deliberately, tending them as a farmer tends crops. They are bait, pure and simple, and they have been working for thousands of years. When you stand at the edge of one of these waters at twilight, as the light fades and the forest sounds shift from day to night, you might feel it. A presence that is not quite watching because it has no need to watch. It already knows you are there. It knew you would come. The air grows heavier somehow, pressing down on your shoulders. The water's surface becomes too still, reflecting the dying light with unnatural clarity. You might notice that no birds sing near the shore, that no insects disturb the perfect mirror of the lake's face. This is the moment where ancient instinct wars with modern rationality. Your ancestors would have recognized these signs immediately and retreated to safer ground. They understood that certain places belonged to powers that predated human language, that some boundaries were not meant to be crossed. But you, standing there with electric light waiting back in your cabin and a smartphone in your pocket, you tell yourself these are just stories. Just folklore designed to scare children away from genuine drowning hazards. The Nøkken has heard this rationalization before. It has watched the world change, watched iron tools give way to steel, and steel give way to silicon. It has seen gods rise and fall, has witnessed the arrival of Christianity and the persecution of those who remembered the old ways. None of it matters. The spirit remains because water remains, because humans still drown, because the boundary between life and death is still measured in how long you can hold your breath. Before you join me in exploring the specific forms this entity takes, the methods it employs, and the rare means of protection that might save your life, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this journey into the darkness we have forgotten. Not for entertainment, though these tales will grip you with fascination. Not for education alone, though you will learn truths that schools dare not teach. Subscribe because understanding the Nøkken means understanding a fundamental aspect of the natural world that civilization has tried desperately to pave over and forget. The like button is not a request for approval. It is a talisman, a small acknowledgement that you are willing to look at what lurks beneath the surface. Press it now. The Scandinavian landscape is not simply beautiful. It is alive with intelligence that does not think as you think, that does not value what you value, that measures time in the slow grinding of glaciers and the patient wearing away of stone. The forests that crowd these northern waters are old beyond your capacity to truly comprehend. They were ancient when Rome was young, were watching when the first humans crossed into these lands carrying fire and stone tools and fear of the dark. In this environment, the Nøkken emerged not as an aberration, but as an integral component of the ecosystem. It is as natural to these waters as the fish that swim through them, as the algae that clouds them in summer, as the ice that seals them each winter. The spirit is not an invasion from some other realm. It is native. It is fundamental. It has always been here. This is what makes the Nøkken so profoundly terrifying. You cannot banish it because it is not a visitor. You cannot destroy it because it is woven into the fabric of the place itself. You can only learn to recognize its presence, respect its dominion, and pray that your knowledge is sufficient to keep you among the living. The waters of Scandinavia hold countless secrets. Some are geological, the remnants of Ice Age formations and volcanic activity. Some are historical, the submerged ruins of settlements abandoned to flood or plague. But the deepest secret, the one that still claims lives in the modern era, is that these waters are inhabited. They are claimed. They are hunting grounds for something that has refined its predatory techniques across millennia. As we move forward, you will learn the specific manifestations of the Nøkken. You will discover how it appears, how it hunts, how it kills. You will learn the names that might save you, the tools that might protect you, the signs that should send you running. But first, you needed to understand this foundational truth that the waters themselves are not neutral ground. They are the domain of an intelligence that measures your life in the span of a single breath held underwater, that sees your death not as tragedy, but as inevitable harvesting. The liminal waters of Scandinavia have been calling to humans for as long as humans have walked these northern lands. That call is beautiful. It is seductive. It is the promise of cool refreshment on a hot day, of food pulled from the depths, of passage to the other side. And sometimes, when the light is right and the forest is silent and the water is perfectly still, that call is answered by something that has been waiting beneath the surface with infinite patience. Welcome to the hunting grounds of the Nøkken. The water is watching. At dusk, when the stillness of lakeside meadows settles over your skin like a velvet shroud, a strange and impossible beauty can materialize at the water's edge. You witness, grazing alone among the dew-laden reeds, a horse of impossible whiteness. Its coat seems to hold the ghost of every vanished snowfall, its mane trailing like mist across a surface devoid of ripples, except those made by its own delicate hooves. This is no ordinary beast, though your instincts campaign to trust what looks so splendid and docile. And this trust is precisely what the Nøkken desires most. It is always alone, framed against the encroaching twilight, unmoving save for the casual rhythm of teeth plucking wildflowers between stones. There is a gravity in its presence that silences everything. Frogs quiet, mosquitoes shy from the air, and even wind behaves, folding in on itself before touching this spectral animal. Without fanfare, it blends into the landscape, a ghostly vision that promises innocence yet radiates something else. Hunger masked by perfection, malice disguised as docility. Children are the first to respond to this impossible apparition, their fascination with the supernatural horse overwhelming any sense of danger rooted in ancestral memory. It calls to them not with sound, but with stillness, a siren song woven from reflected light and gentle snorts. The white horse is never tethered and accepts any who approach, lowering its stately head for a caress or nuzzling palms with a pretense of familiarity. There is gentleness here, a lie forged by millennia of practice. It is not unusual for groups of children to climb, one by one, onto the Nøkken's back. Each child feels the uncanny warmth beneath the creature's surface and the subtle flexing of sinews beneath the shining skin. The first rider finds no resistance. In fact, the horse seems to anticipate the weight and settles deeper into the soil, knees folding gracefully. But as each new child scrambles up, the animal's back stretches, each new passenger accommodated with supernatural space, until every single child is perched together, laughing at the wonder of this unafraid companion. No words are spoken, yet an agreement is forged. The instant the last rider is settled, a change occurs so rapidly, so definitively, that it shatters any illusion of security. The skin that moments before was soft and yielding now grows clammy, sticky. And soon the realization dawns. One cannot dismount. Try as they might, even the strongest cannot break free from the adhesive membrane that has fused flesh and clothing to pristine fur. A bond that tightens and grips unlike anything found in. The horse's posture transforms with horrifying fluidity, neck arching away from the shore, ears pointing backward, and eyes shining with an ancient intellect that knows it has won. Without warning, the Nøkken gallops with astonishing velocity, hooves thundering not with the weight of the living, but with the terrible certainty of doom, carrying its screaming, struggling riders directly toward the heart of the water. Each stride is the shattering of a trust, each leap the betrayal of all that is bright in daylight. No matter the cries or desperate attempts to jump off, the fate of those on its back is sealed. The beast plunges beneath the glimmering surface, dragging every victim with it. Not a ripple betrays the violence beneath, and often nothing remains on the shore but discarded shoes, a scattering of flower petals, and the memory of laughter carried off by the breeze. The transformation is absolute. What was once the emblem of innocence has become the vehicle of death itself. Those watching from afar rarely comprehend the horror until it is too late. The water, once so inviting and serene, closes silently over the victims, reflecting only the sky and the riderless clouds above. All that remains is the ghost of white foam and perhaps a cold echo of what was once joy. In these moments, parents race for the shore but find nothing. No furious splashing, no trace of their loved ones. Only the slow, indifferent breath of the lake. Nøkken's strategy in this form is methodical, perfected through countless repetitions across centuries. The white horse does not hunt indiscriminately, but rather times its emergence for those moments when human desire overcomes fear. Harvest festivals, midsummer nights, family gatherings. The lull of celebration dulls caution, and the vision of a docile, untethered horse in the golden dusk is a temptation that not even the wise can always resist. Occasionally, the monster reveals hints of its malice in the details. Keen observers might notice the perpetual gleam of water on its hooves, no matter how far it stands from the pond. Others recall the chilling absence of shadow beneath the body, as if the beast itself floats just above the true earth, supported not by solid ground, but by the will of something inhuman. Few survive a close encounter to recount these signs. Most become nothing but memory and warning passed down through trembling generations. The legend's power stems from its specificity. This is not a cautionary tale about horses in general, nor a vague admonition to avoid stranger animals. It is about the monstrous capacity for the world to present its most beautiful face, precisely when danger is at its peak. The Nøkken as a white horse is the embodiment of ambivalence, a thing that can only kill once it is trusted, that only destroys after it has been loved and admired. It is an inversion of all the values by which children are taught to judge safety and kindness in the world. Parents in Scandinavian villages did not simply forbid their children from wandering near the water at twilight. They described, with careful detail, the immaculate horse that would offer a ride to every smiling child, the gallop that would end not in excitement, but in silence, and the water that would swallow the innocent as readily as the unwary. These warnings became culture, woven into lullabies and rituals, reinforcing the lesson that what is most alluring is often what is most fatal. The choice of a horse as a predatory form is deliberate, for the horse is both beloved and revered in Norse tradition. Horses pull plows, carry warriors, and are endowed with mythic significance as companions to gods. For the Nøkken to become a horse is an act of mimicry layered with cruelty. It turns what is most trusted into an agent of harm, what is most cherished into a tool of annihilation. The horror lies not just in the act, but in the violation of all that is sacred to the human spirit. Older folks sometimes whisper that, if you are attentive and cautious, you might spot warning signs before it's too late. The animal's eyes may reveal an unusual awareness, watching not like a mere beast, but with the patience of a hunter who knows every hiding place of the soul. Its hide will always be slightly damp, even beneath the warmest sun, and the heavy scent of the lake hangs thick and cloying around its body. But most fail to notice until the moment of no return, and so the legend survives, and so do the tragedies. Some stories tell of survivors, usually by accident rather than wisdom. There are tales in which a child, climbing up behind siblings, slips and utters by chance the Nøkken's forbidden name. Sometimes, just saying the word sends the beast fleeing, its magic broken for a moment by the force of true recognition. But for every such tale, there are 100 where the surface of the water closes cold and flat, and families are left to mourn what was lost to the depths. It is not only children who find themselves prey. Adults are not immune to the allure of the white horse, particularly on nights when the old ways seem as remote as the stars. After too much celebration, or perhaps in moments of sorrow when the world weighs heavy, even grown men and women have climbed onto the creature's back, looking for a thrill or to relive the simplicity of youth. The Nøkken cares not for age or innocence. All who succumb to its perfection are equally claimed. The persistence of these stories across generations is not the result of simple fear-mongering. Instead, they are embedded in a system of survival, a recognition that the world is filled with traps designed to capitalize on hope and longing. The white horse is the distilled essence of this realization, a lesson in the price of trust, especially when the stakes are nothing less than one's life. It is a call to vigilance, a reminder that what is beautiful is not always benign. Why does the Nøkken select the form of a horse and not another animal? Some say that horses, for all their uses, have always inhabited the liminal zone between the natural and supernatural. They are powerful, mysterious, and prone to abrupt, inexplicable rages or panics. The folklore invests the Nøkken's most famous transformation with the duel of the horse, a symbol of provision and power, but also of wild unpredictability and abyssal danger. The white color, so often a mark of purity, is transformed here into a mask for predation. When you next see a horse grazing near a lonely lake, consider what worlds exist beneath the sheen of its coat and the mystery behind its watchful eyes. Perhaps there are places in your own memory where innocence and predation are separated by nothing but a single choice, a single step, a single silent agreement between you and the unknown. It is not the absence of danger that marks adult understanding, but the knowledge of its hiding places and the wisdom to walk away before it is too late. This is the lesson the Nøkken, in horse's form, teaches every time it emerges from the depths. That those who survive in a world of peril do so not by cowering from beauty, but by understanding it, by meeting it with eyes open, and by never surrendering the power to choose. Turn back from the water's edge and carry this warning with you. And if you feel your resolve falter, remember the countless voices lost beneath the surface. Voices that began with joy and ended in silence, urging you to see the trap behind the dream. In the stillness of the forest, as twilight bleeds into night and the air grows heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, a sound emerges that is unlike any other. It is not the wind through the trees, nor the distant call of an owl, nor even the gentle lap of water against the shore. It is music, pure and hypnotic, played on a fiddle with a skill so masterful that it seems to weave itself into the fabric of the world. This is the voice of the Nøkken, the water spirit who takes the form of a young man, impossibly handsome, seated beside the water with his instrument cradled in his arms. He is often described as elegant, dressed in clothing that seems both timeless and out of place. Sometimes in the attire of a nobleman from a forgotten era, sometimes in simple garments that cling to his frame as if dampened by the lake's breath. His eyes are deep and knowing, holding secrets that span centuries, and his hands move across the fiddle strings with a grace that belies the danger he embodies. When he plays, the music flows like a river, drawing every soul within earshot toward the water's edge, unable to resist the enchantment. This is not a melody born of joy or celebration. It is a song that speaks to the deepest yearnings of the human heart, to the longing for beauty, for love, for escape from the mundane. It is a lure, crafted with the precision of a predator who knows exactly which strings to pluck to ensnare his prey. The music wraps itself around the listener, filling their mind with visions of impossible happiness, of a world where sorrow does not exist, of a love so pure it transcends all boundaries. Young women are especially vulnerable to this enchantment. The Nøkken's song seems to speak directly to their dreams, to their hopes for romance and adventure, for a life that is more than the drudgery of daily chores and the weight of expectation. As the music grows louder, more insistent, the distance between the listener and the water seems to shrink, until they find themselves standing at the very edge, drawn by a force they cannot name, their eyes fixed on the figure whose music promises everything they have ever desired. The Nøkken does not need to speak. His music is his language, his weapon, his trap. As the listener approaches, he continues to play, his gaze locked with theirs, his expression unreadable. The air around him shimmers, as if the boundary between reality and illusion is thinning, and the water behind him seems to pulse with anticipation. The melody grows more urgent, more seductive, until the listener feels as if they are floating, their body no longer their own, their will surrendered to the song. It is at this moment that the Nøkken reveals his true. The music shifts, becoming darker, more discordant, as if the spirit's true intentions are finally exposed. The listener, now standing at the water's edge, feels a sudden chill, a realization that something is terribly wrong. But it is too late. The Nøkken's song has already woven its spell, and the listener is powerless to resist as the spirit beckons them into the water. The water is cold, dark, and deep. The listener feels the weight of it pressing down on them, the current pulling them under as the Nøkken's music fades into the distance. They struggle, but their strength is no match for the spirit's power. And soon they are lost beneath the surface, their body claimed by the depths. The Nøkken watches, his expression unchanged as the water closes over the last trace of his victim, his fiddle silent once more. Not all encounters with the Nøkken end in tragedy. There are stories of those who, through sheer force of will or the intervention of a protective charm, managed to break free from the spell. These survivors speak of a moment of clarity, a sudden awareness that the music was not meant for them, that the beauty they perceived was a mask for something far more sinister. But for every survivor, there are countless others who are never seen again, their fate sealed by the irresistible song of the Nøkken. The Nøkken's music is not merely a tool for destruction. It is also a symbol of the spirit's own loneliness, his yearning for connection in a world that is forever beyond his reach. Some tales speak of the Nøkken as a tragic figure, cursed to wander the shores of lakes and rivers, playing his fiddle for an audience that can never truly understand him. In these stories, the spirit's song is tinged with sorrow, a lament for the life he can never have. There are even accounts of the Nøkken offering his musical knowledge to those who approach him with respect and humility. In exchange for an offering, a black animal, a few drops of blood, or a glass of brandy, the spirit may teach a musician to play with a skill that surpasses all others. But this gift comes at a price. Those who accept the Nøkken's lessons often find their lives forever changed, their music imbued with a haunting quality that can drive listeners to madness or despair. The Nøkken's fiddle is more than an instrument. It is a conduit for his power, a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of the spirit. When he plays, the boundaries between reality and illusion blur, and the listener is drawn into a world where the rules of no longer apply. The music becomes a force in itself, capable of bending the will of those who hear it, of shaping their thoughts and desires. This is the true danger of the Nøkken's song. It does not merely lure its victims to the water. It transforms them, reshaping their perceptions, their emotions, their very sense of self. The music becomes a part of them, a haunting presence that lingers long after the spirit has vanished. Those who survive the encounter often speak of a deep sadness, a sense of loss that cannot be explained, as if a part of their soul has been taken by the Nøkken. The Nøkken's fiddle is also a symbol of the spirit's mastery over the natural world. The sounds he produces are said to mimic the wind through the trees, the rush of water over rocks, the rustle of leaves in the forest. When he plays, the environment seems to come alive, responding to his music in ways that defy explanation. The water ripples in time with the melody. The trees sway as if dancing, and even the stones seem to hum in harmony. This connection to the natural world is what makes the Nøkken so powerful. He is not merely a spirit of the water, but a force that embodies the essence of the wilderness itself. His music is a reflection of the beauty and danger that exist in equal measure in the Scandinavian landscape. It is a reminder that the world is filled with wonders that are both breathtaking and perilous, that the line between enchantment and destruction is often thinner than we care to admit. When you hear music in the forest, especially as night falls and the world grows quiet, pause and listen carefully. If the melody seems too perfect, too haunting, too irresistible, if it calls to something deep within you that you cannot name, then you may be standing at the edge of a realm where the Nøkken reigns. Turn away from the water, resist the urge to follow the sound, and carry with you the knowledge that some songs are meant to be admired from a distance, not embraced. The Nøkken's fiddle is a warning as much as it is a lure. It is a reminder that the most beautiful things in life can also be the most dangerous, that the pursuit of beauty can lead us to places we are not meant to go. The spirit's song is a testament to the power of music, but also to its potential for harm. It is a lesson in the importance of caution, of recognizing the signs of danger, even when they are disguised as something desirable. As you walk through the forest, let the sound of the wind and the water be your guide. If you hear a melody that seems to come from nowhere, that calls to you with an irresistible force, remember the Nøkken and his fiddle. Do not let the beauty of the music blind you to the danger it represents. The spirit's song is a siren's call, a trap that has claimed countless lives over the centuries. Walk away and carry with you the wisdom of those who have learned to listen, but not to follow. The Nøkken's mastery of deception is not limited to the forms of a white horse or a fiddle-playing youth. This spirit of the water possesses an arsenal of guises, each carefully chosen to exploit the vulnerabilities of those who approach its domain. The variety of its transformations reveals a deep understanding of human psychology, a predator that adapts its appearance to match the expectations and desires of its prey. One of the most unsettling manifestations is the Nøkken as an old man, naked and sitting on a rock at the water's edge. He appears frail, his skin pale and wrinkled, his eyes clouded with age. There's a profound stillness to his posture, as if he is not merely resting but waiting, watching, calculating. This form is particularly effective at disarming suspicion, for who would fear a helpless elder sitting alone by the lake? Yet beneath the guise of vulnerability lies a predator's patience, a mind that knows precisely how to lure the compassionate into danger. The nakedness of the old man is no accident. It is a deliberate rejection of human modesty, a signal that this is not a creature bound by the rules of society. The absence of clothing strips away any pretense of normalcy, revealing the Nøkken's alien. The water drips constantly from his skin, a telltale sign that should alert the observant. But few pay attention to such details when confronted with apparent helplessness. The spirit's nudity is both a lure and a warning, a paradox that embodies the duality of its. Another form the Nøkken assumes is that of a floating log, bobbing gently on the surface of the water. This log appears innocent, perhaps even inviting, a convenient seat for a weary traveler or a tempting object for someone seeking firewood. But the moment someone reaches out to touch it, the log reveals its true, transforming into a snare that drags the unwary beneath the surface. The Nøkken's ability to mimic inanimate objects is a testament to its mastery of illusion, a skill honed over centuries of predation. The log is not the only object the Nøkken can become. There are tales of the spirit appearing as a discarded shoe, a piece of driftwood, or even a child's toy floating on the water. Each of these forms is designed to appeal to curiosity or compassion, to tempt the observer into making contact. The spirit's transformations are not random but calculated, each chosen to exploit a specific human weakness. The log appeals to practicality, the shoe to sentiment, the toy to nostalgia. The Nøkken's disguises are not limited to objects and humans. There are stories of the spirit taking the form of animals, most commonly a dog or a cat, but also a bull or a goat. These animals appear friendly, even affectionate, seeking attention or companionship from those who approach. But the moment someone tries to pet or catch the animal, it reveals its true, transforming into a predator that drags its victim into the water. The Nøkken's ability to mimic animals is a reminder that even the most familiar creatures can be agents of danger. The spirit's transformations are not merely physical, but psychological. Each form is chosen to evoke a specific emotional response, to lower the observer's guard and create a sense of trust. The white horse appeals to innocence and wonder, the fiddle player to beauty and longing, the old man to compassion, the log to practicality, the animal to familiarity. The Nøkken's arsenal of disguises is a reflection of the complexity of the human psyche, a predator that understands the nuances of emotion and desire. The Nøkken's ability to shift forms is not without limits. There are certain signs that betray its true, no matter which guise it assumes. The most common is the presence of hooves or the constant dripping of water from its skin. These details are subtle but unmistakable, a thread that connects all of the spirit's manifestations. The hooves are a reminder of its equine origins, while the dripping water is a sign of its connection to the aquatic realm. These clues are not always noticed, but they are always present, a silent warning to those who are observant. The Nøkken's transformations are also a reflection of the spirit's own. It is not a creature of chaos, but of order, a predator that follows a set of rules and patterns. Each form is chosen with purpose. Each disguise serves a specific function. The spirit's mastery of illusion is not a random act of creativity, but a calculated strategy, a system of hunting refined over centuries. The Nøkken's arsenal of disguises is a testament to its intelligence, a predator that understands the value of patience and precision. The variety of the Nøkken's forms is also a reflection of the diversity of human experience. Each guise is designed to appeal to a different aspect of the human psyche, to exploit a different vulnerability. The spirit's transformations are a mirror of human desires and fears, a reminder that the world is filled with dangers that are as varied as the people who inhabit it. The Nøkken's arsenal of disguises is a lesson in the importance of vigilance, of recognizing the signs of danger even when they are disguised as something familiar. The Nøkken's ability to shift forms is not just a tool for predation, but a symbol of the spirit's own duality. It is both beautiful and terrifying, both alluring and dangerous. The spirit's transformations are a reminder that the world is filled with contradictions, that the most beautiful things can also be the most perilous. The Nøkken's arsenal of disguises is a testament to the complexity of the natural world, a predator that embodies the interplay between beauty and danger. When you encounter something unusual at the water's edge, whether it is an old man, a floating log, or a friendly animal, pause and consider the possibility that you are not seeing what you think you are seeing. The Nøkken's arsenal of disguises is a warning, a reminder that the world is filled with dangers that are as varied as the forms they take. Trust your instincts, pay attention to the details, and remember that the most beautiful things can also be the most dangerous. The Nøkken's transformations are a lesson in the importance of vigilance, of recognizing the signs of danger even when they are disguised as something familiar. When the Nøkken reveals its true, when the water grows heavy and the melody turns dark, survival depends not on strength, but on knowledge. The spirit's power is immense, but it is not absolute. Across centuries of Scandinavian folklore, a set of protective measures has emerged, each rooted in the cultural collision between ancient animism and the arrival of Christianity, each offering a fragile shield against the water spirit's grasp. The most potent defense is the spoken word. To utter the spirit's Christian name, Nøkk, is to shatter its enchantment, if only for a moment. This act is not a prayer, but a declaration, a refusal to be lulled by the spirit's illusions. The name itself is a weapon, a key that unlocks the chains of its magic. Those who have spoken it at the water's edge report an immediate change. The music falters, the form wavers, and the spirit retreats, if only temporarily, back into the depths. The use of steel is another ancient safeguard. Throwing a piece of iron or steel into the water is believed to drive the Nøkken away, breaking its hold on those it has ensnared. This practice echoes a deep-rooted belief in the apotropaic power of metal, a material that was both rare and sacred in the pre-industrial world. The act is symbolic as much as practical, a gesture of defiance that asserts human agency in the face of supernatural danger. Making the sign of the cross is a third method, one that speaks to the Christianization of Scandinavia. As the new faith spread, it offered its own set of protections against the old spirits. The cross is a ward, a barrier that the Nøkken cannot cross, a symbol of divine authority that the spirit instinctively avoids. For those raised in the Christian tradition, this gesture is instinctive, a reflex born of generations of stories and warnings. These protections are not mere superstitions. They are the accumulated wisdom of countless encounters, the distilled essence of survival in a world where the boundaries between the natural and supernatural are thin. Each method addresses a different aspect of the Nøkken's power. The spoken word targets its magic, the steel its physical form, the cross its spiritual essence. Together, they form a triad of defense, a system that recognizes the spirit's multifaceted. The spoken name is the most direct, the most immediate. It is a refusal to be seduced by the spirit's illusions, a declaration of autonomy that cuts through the enchantment. The name Nøkk is not just a word, but a concept, a reminder that the spirit is not a force of, but a being with a name, a history, a vulnerability. To speak it is to assert your humanity, to remind yourself that you are not just prey, but a person with agency. The use of steel is more physical, more visceral. It is an act of resistance, a refusal to be dragged into the water. The act of throwing metal into the depths is a gesture of defiance, a statement that the spirit's dominion is not absolute. The steel is a symbol of human ingenuity, a reminder that the world is not entirely ruled by the spirits, that there are tools and techniques that can be used to protect oneself. The sign of the cross is the most spiritual, the most symbolic. It is a gesture of faith, a reminder that there are powers greater than the Nøkken, that the world is not entirely ruled by the spirits of the water. The cross is a barrier, a boundary that the spirit cannot cross, a symbol of divine protection that offers comfort in the face of the unknown. These methods are not mutually exclusive. In many stories, they are used in combination, each reinforcing the others. The spoken name breaks the spell, the steel drives the spirit away, and the cross offers protection from its return. Together, they form a system of defense that recognizes the spirit's multifaceted and the need for a multifaceted response. The effectiveness of these protections is not guaranteed. The Nøkken is a powerful spirit, and its magic is not easily broken. But the fact that these methods have persisted for centuries is a testament to their perceived value. They are not just tools for survival, but symbols of human resilience, a reminder that even in the face of the supernatural, there are ways to assert one's agency. The spoken name, the steel, the cross, each is a reminder that the Nøkken's power is not absolute. The spirit may be ancient, may be powerful, may be terrifying, but it is not invincible. There are ways to resist, to protect oneself, to survive. These methods are not just folklore, but a legacy of survival, a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of those who have faced the spirit and lived to tell the tale. When you stand at the water's edge, when the air grows heavy and the music begins, remember these protections. Speak the name, throw the steel, make the sign of the cross. Do not let the spirit's illusions lull you into complacency. The Nøkken is a predator, but it is not invincible. There are ways to resist, to protect yourself, to survive. These methods are not just folklore, but a legacy of survival, a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of those who have faced the spirit and lived to tell the tale. The spoken name, the steel, the cross, each is a reminder that the Nøkken's power is not absolute. The spirit may be ancient, may be powerful, may be terrifying, but it is not invincible. There are ways to resist, to protect oneself, to survive. These methods are not just folklore, but a legacy of survival, a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of those who have faced the spirit and lived to tell the tale. The Nøkken is not a monolith. Across the waters of Scandinavia, from the fjords of Norway to the forests of Sweden and the volcanic springs of Iceland, the water spirit wears different faces, speaks with different voices, and hunts with different intentions. These regional variations reveal not only the diversity of Scandinavian folklore, but also the distinct cultural attitudes toward danger and the supernatural that define each nation's relationship with the unseen world. In Norway, the Nøkken is unambiguously malevolent. There is no redemption in its no possibility of benevolence, no gray area between predator and protector. The Norwegian water spirit exists solely to deceive, to lure, to drown. It is a force of pure malice, a creature that delights in the suffering of its victims and shows no mercy to those who fall under its spell. The Norwegian tales are stark, brutal, and unforgiving, reflecting a landscape where survival demanded constant vigilance and where the margin for error was measured in heartbeats. The Norwegian Nøkken's appearance reinforces its sinister. In many accounts, it manifests as a grotesque creature of twigs and seaweed, with glowing eyes that pierce the darkness and a form that seems to shift and writhe like the water itself. This is not the handsome youth of Swedish tales, but a monster barely contained within a humanoid shape, a nightmare given flesh and purpose. The transformation into a white horse or an old man is not a sign of versatility, but of cunning, a predator that understands the value of disguise. The Norwegian spirit's domain is the darkest, deepest waters, bottomless ponds hidden in ancient forests, mountain lakes where the sun rarely reaches the surface, rivers that flow black and silent through valleys untouched by human settlement. These are places of isolation and dread, where the boundary between the living world and the realm of the dead grows thin. The Nøkken that inhabits these waters is as cold and merciless as the environment itself, a perfect adaptation to a land where shows no compassion. Cross the border into Sweden, and the character of the water spirit transforms. The Swedish Nøkken, while still dangerous, possesses a complexity that the Norwegian version lacks. This spirit is capable of beauty, of genuine artistry, of interactions that do not always end in death. The Nøkken is most often portrayed as a strikingly handsome young man, with long, flowing hair, seated by the water with his fiddle, playing music of such transcendent beauty that it can move even the stones to tears. The Swedish spirit's music is not merely a lure, but an art form in its own right. The Nøkken is considered one of the greatest musicians in all of folklore, possessing skills that surpass any mortal player. Those who hear his melodies speak of harmonies that seem to capture the essence of the forest, the whisper of wind through pine needles, the rush of water over ancient stones, the very heartbeat of the natural world. This is music that transcends language, that speaks directly to the soul, that creates a bridge between the human and the divine. In Swedish folklore, the Nøkken occasionally acts as a teacher, willing to share his musical knowledge with those who approach him with proper respect and offerings. An aspiring musician who brings a gift, traditionally a black animal, often a lamb or a goat, and performs the offering with reverence may convince the Nøkken to teach him the secrets of the fiddle. The spirit will guide the student's fingers across the strings, teach him melodies that no human could invent, and bestow upon him a mastery that will make him the finest musician in the land. But this gift comes with conditions and risks. The Nøkken's teaching sessions often take place on Thursday evenings, a time considered liminal in Nordic tradition, when the barriers between worlds are weak. The student must practice in isolation, often for weeks or months, returning again and again to the water's edge. And there is always the possibility that the Nøkken's benevolence is merely another form of deception, that the spirit is simply biding its time, building trust before claiming its ultimate price. The Swedish spirit's duel reflects a more nuanced relationship with the natural world. Where Norwegian folklore emphasizes survival and danger, Swedish tales explore the possibility of negotiation, of exchange, of benefits gained through careful interaction with the supernatural. The Nøkken is still dangerous. One wrong move, one broken promise, one sign of disrespect can transform benevolence into wrath. But the relationship is not predetermined to end in tragedy. Iceland's Nøkken adds another dimension to the water spirit's regional tapestry. Adapted to the island's unique geography of coastal pools, hot springs, and volcanic waters, the Nøkken exhibits characteristics that blend Norwegian malevolence with its own distinctive traits. The Icelandic spirit often appears near the sea as well as freshwater, expanding its hunting grounds to include the treacherous boundary between ocean and shore. The Nøkken is particularly associated with the gray horse form, and the tales emphasize the adhesive quality of its skin with even greater horror than mainland versions. What distinguishes these regional variations is not merely geography, but cultural memory. The Norwegian Nøkken emerged from a society where winters were brutal, where isolation was deadly, where the land itself seemed actively hostile to human survival. In such an environment, the water spirit became a personification of implacable hostility, a reminder that beauty and danger are inseparable. There was no room for negotiation with the wilderness, no possibility of gentle accommodation. The Swedish Nøkken, by contrast, arose in a culture that, while still harsh, possessed slightly more margin for complexity. The Swedish landscape, though demanding, allowed for moments of respite, for the development of art and music, for relationships with the natural world that were not entirely adversarial. The Nøkken's willingness to teach, to create, to interact, reflects this cultural difference. The spirit is still dangerous, still fundamentally alien, but there is space for interaction beyond pure predation. These differences extend to the protective measures as well. While the core defenses, speaking the name, using steel, making the cross, remain consistent, regional variations add local specifics. In Norway, the emphasis is on immediate escape, on breaking the spell before it can fully take hold. In Sweden, there are tales of musicians who manage to establish ongoing relationships with the Nøkken, returning season after season without harm, their respect and offerings maintaining a delicate balance. The regional differences also manifest in the spirit's relationships with communities. The Norwegian Nøkken is entirely external, a threat that exists beyond the social order. The Swedish Nøkken occasionally becomes integrated into local tradition, his presence acknowledged through offerings and rituals, his preferences and habits understood and accommodated. This integration does not eliminate danger, but transforms it from random predation into a negotiable relationship. What unites these regional variations is the fundamental recognition that the water is inhabited, that it possesses agency and intelligence, that it must be approached with respect and caution. Whether the spirit is purely malevolent or capable of complexity, whether it appears as a grotesque monster or a handsome musician, the underlying truth remains constant. The waters of Scandinavia are not neutral territory, but the domain of beings that existed long before humans arrived and will endure long after we are gone. When you stand at the water's edge, consider which version of the spirit you might be facing. Is this the merciless Norwegian predator, that knows only hunger and cunning? Or is this the Swedish artist capable of beauty and perhaps of mercy? The answer may determine not only your survival, but the of your encounter with the supernatural. The water spirits of Scandinavia are many, but they share one essential truth. They are neither human nor wholly comprehensible, and they demand respect born not of love, but of recognition. That some boundaries must never be crossed without understanding the cost. The stories of the Nøkken are not simply tales of supernatural horror. They are instruments of survival, carefully crafted warnings that encode essential knowledge within unforgettable narratives of enchantment and death. In a world where drowning was a constant threat, these myths served as visceral lessons, teaching children and adults alike to respect the boundaries of water and to recognize the dangers that lurked beneath its surface. Every tale of the Nøkken is a story of temptation overcome by tragedy. The spirit's beautiful horse, its irresistible music, its seductive forms. Each is designed to exploit human curiosity, longing, and trust. The myths do not merely frighten, they instruct. They show what happens when caution is abandoned, when boundaries are crossed, when the natural world is approached without respect. The Nøkken's role as a cultural warning is most evident in the way its stories are told to children. Parents and elders did not simply forbid their young from playing near lakes or rivers. They described, in vivid and often terrifying detail, the consequences of disobedience. The Nøkken was not an abstract danger, but a specific, recognizable predator, one that would lure the unwary with promises of beauty, music, or adventure. These stories were not meant to be taken lightly. They were told with a gravity that left no room for doubt. The Nøkken's methods were described with meticulous precision. The adhesive skin of the horse, the hypnotic melodies of the fiddle, the deceptive forms of the old man or the floating log. Each detail was a lesson, a clue to help children recognize the spirit's presence and avoid its traps. The Nøkken's tales also provided cultural explanations for tragedies that could not otherwise be understood. When a child vanished while playing near a lake, when a young woman disappeared after fetching water at dusk, when a fisherman was found drowned in shallow water, the community did not simply mourn. They told the story of the Nøkken, transforming random death into intentional hunting, giving meaning to the inexplicable. This transformation was crucial. It allowed people to make sense of their losses, to find a cause where there was only chaos. The Nøkken became the answer to the question of why good people died suddenly and senselessly. It was a way of imposing order on a world that often seemed indifferent to human suffering. The Nøkken's role as a cultural warning is also evident in the protective measures described in the myths. The spoken name, the thrown steel, the sign of the cross. Each is not just a magical solution, but a practical lesson in survival. These measures are simple, memorable, and easy to teach, ensuring that even the youngest children could understand and repeat them. The myths also encode broader lessons about the Nøkken's ability to exploit trust, curiosity, and desire is a reminder that the greatest dangers often come from within. The spirit's forms are not random, but carefully chosen to appeal to specific human weaknesses. The white horse targets innocence. The fiddle player targets longing. The old man targets compassion. The myths teach that the most beautiful things can also be the most dangerous, that trust must be earned, and that not all who appear friendly are truly benevolent. The Nøkken stories also reflect the cultural values of Scandinavian society. They emphasize the importance of community, of shared knowledge, of passing down wisdom from one generation to the next. The myths are not just warnings, but a way of strengthening social bonds, of ensuring that everyone in the community knows how to survive in a world filled with hidden dangers. The Nøkken's role as a cultural warning is not limited to the past. Even today, the spirit stories continue to be told, adapted to modern contexts. The Nøkken appears in novels, films, and video games, serving as a symbol of environmentalism, a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the spirit's enduring appeal lies in its ability to evoke both fear and fascination, making it a versatile character for exploring complex themes in contemporary narratives. The Nøkken's tales also offer timeless insights into human behavior. The spirit's ability to lure victims with its enchanting music and appearance highlights the dangers of temptation. These stories explore how desire and curiosity can lead to peril, offering lessons that are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. The Nøkken's duality reminds us that not all temptations are inherently harmful. Some can lead to growth and self-discovery if approached with awareness and respect. The spirit's stories encourage us to appreciate its beauty while acknowledging its power, to recognize the boundaries that must be respected if we are to survive. When you hear a story of the Nøkken, remember that it is not just a tale of horror. It is a lesson in survival, a warning about the dangers of the natural world, a reminder of the importance of community and shared knowledge. The Nøkken stories are a legacy of survival, a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of those who have faced the spirit and lived to tell the tale. The Nøkken's role as a cultural warning is a testament to the power of storytelling. The spirit's tales are not just myths, but tools for survival, instruments of education, and reminders of the delicate balance between humanity and the Nøkken's stories continue to inspire, provoke thought, and offer timeless lessons about respect, temptation, and the fragile balance between humanity and the natural world. The Nøkken is most often portrayed as a predator, a being whose sole purpose is to lure and drown. Yet, woven through the darkest tales of Scandinavian folklore are stories that reveal a different, more tragic side of the spirit. There are legends in which the Nøkken falls in love with a mortal woman, stories that explore the impossible of such unions and the inevitable heartbreak that follows. These tales are not merely romantic interludes. They are profound explorations of longing, of the chasm that exists between the worlds of water and land, of the pain that arises when boundaries are crossed and desires are unfulfilled. The Nøkken's love for a human is never simple, never easy, and never without consequence. It is a love that is as dangerous as it is beautiful, as destructive as it is yearning. The most common narrative begins with the Nøkken appearing as a handsome young man, often playing his fiddle by the water's edge. A young woman, drawn by the music or the spirit's beauty, approaches and finds herself captivated. The Nøkken, for his part, is equally enchanted by her humanity, by her warmth, by her fleeting life. For a time, there is a fragile happiness, a moment where the boundaries between worlds seem to blur. But this happiness is always temporary. The Nøkken is not human, and his understanding of love is alien to human experience. He may offer gifts, play music, or even promise to leave the water for her. But these promises are hollow. The spirit is bound to the water, to the depths, to the darkness. He cannot truly leave his domain, and the woman cannot truly join him. The tragedy often unfolds in one of two ways. In some stories, the Nøkken tries to take the woman into the water, believing that if she becomes part of his world, they can be together. But the water is deadly to humans, and the woman drowns, her life extinguished in the spirit's embrace. In other tales, the woman tries to leave, to return to her own world, and the Nøkken's love turns to sorrow, to rage, to a terrible vengeance that claims not only her, but those she loves. These stories are not just about the dangers of loving a supernatural being. They are also about the impossibility of true connection between beings from different worlds. The Nøkken's love is not a weakness, but a reflection of his own loneliness, his own yearning for something he can never truly possess. The tragedy is not just the loss of the woman, but the spirit's own inability to understand or fulfill his desires. The tales also reflect the cultural attitudes toward love and loss in Scandinavian folklore. Love is not always a force for good. It can be a source of pain, of destruction, of tragedy. The Nøkken's love for a mortal woman is a reminder that not all desires can be fulfilled, that not all boundaries can be crossed, and that some losses are inevitable. The stories of the Nøkken's love are also a commentary on the human condition. They explore the of longing, the pain of unfulfilled desires, the tragedy of loving something that cannot be possessed. The Nøkken's love is not a simple villain's plot, but a complex emotion that resonates with the universal experience of heartbreak. In some versions of the tale, the Nøkken's love is not entirely selfish. There are stories in which the spirit genuinely cares for the woman, in which he tries to protect her, to make her happy, to bridge the gap between their worlds. But his efforts are always doomed, always ending in tragedy. The spirit's love is a force that cannot be controlled, that cannot be tamed, that cannot be made safe. The tragedy of the Nøkken's love is also a warning. It is a reminder that not all that is beautiful is good, that not all that is desired is attainable, that not all boundaries should be crossed. The spirit's love is a force that is as dangerous as his predation, a reminder that even the most beautiful things can lead to destruction. When you hear a story of the Nøkken's love, remember that it is not just a tale of romance. It is a story of longing, of loss, of the impossibility of true connection between different worlds. The Nøkken's love is a tragedy that speaks to the universal experience of heartbreak, a reminder that not all desires can be fulfilled, and that some losses are inevitable. The Nøkken's love stories are a testament to the complexity of Scandinavian folklore. They are not just tales of horror, but also of profound emotion, of longing and loss, of the pain that arises when boundaries are crossed and desires are unfulfilled. The Nøkken's love is a force that is as dangerous as it is beautiful, as destructive as it is yearning, a reminder that not all that is desired is attainable, and that some losses are inevitable. The Nøkken does not exist in isolation within Scandinavian folklore. It shares its domain with other water spirits, each with their own character and purpose. Among these, Folklore stands out as a figure of contrast, a spirit whose is both similar and distinct from the Nøkken. Folklore is the guardian of waterfalls, a being whose mastery over the roar of cascading water sets him apart from the more sinister dwellers of lakes and rivers. Folklore is often described as a benevolent spirit, a teacher of music who offers his knowledge to those who approach him with respect and humility. Unlike the Nøkken, who is primarily a predator, Folklore's interactions with humans are marked by generosity and wisdom. He is said to appear as a small, gnome-like figure, often seated on a rock beside a waterfall, playing a fiddle or harp with skill that surpasses all mortal musicians. The relationship between Nøkken and Folklore is not one of direct opposition, but of spectrum. Both are spirits of water, both possess supernatural abilities, and both are associated with music. Yet their purposes diverge. The Nøkken embodies the dangers of still waters. the hidden threats beneath a calm surface. Fossegrim, by contrast, represents the power and beauty of moving water, the life-giving force of the waterfall. The two spirits together illustrate the duality of water in Scandinavian mythology, its capacity for both destruction and renewal. Fossegrim's benevolence is conditional. He will only share his musical knowledge with those who approach him with proper offerings and the right attitude. The most common offering is a black animal, often a lamb or a goat, which is thrown into the waterfall as a sign of respect. Those who succeed in gaining Fossegrim's favor are said to become master musicians, their skills unmatched by any other player in the land. Waltz. The tales of Fossegrim's teachings are not without risk. The spirit's generosity is not absolute, and his conditions must be met precisely. Those who approach him with arrogance or disrespect may find themselves facing his wrath, which can be as fearsome as the Nøkkens. The spirit's dual, benevolent teacher and fierce guardian, reflects the unpredictable power of the waterfall itself. The artistic legacy of the Nøkken is inseparable from the work of Theodor Kittelsen, a Norwegian painter whose haunting depictions of the spirit have defined its visual identity for generations. Kittelsen's paintings capture the Nøkken in all its forms, sometimes as a grotesque creature of moss and twigs, sometimes as a handsome youth playing the fiddle, sometimes as a white horse grazing by the water's edge. Kittelsen's most famous portrayal of the Nøkken shows the spirit surrounded by water lilies, his eyes glowing in the darkness, a figure both beautiful and terrifying. The painting has become an icon of Norwegian folklore, a visual representation of the spirit's duality. Kittelsen's work does not merely illustrate the Nøkken, it embodies the spirit's essence, capturing the sense of mystery and danger that permeates the tales. Kittelsen's vision of the Nøkken is not limited to his paintings. His sketches and illustrations have influenced countless artists, writers, and filmmakers, shaping the way the spirit is perceived in modern culture. Theodor Kittelsen's legacy is a testament to the power of art to give form to the intangible, to make the unseen visible. The relationship between Fossegrim and the Nøkken is a reflection of the broader themes in Scandinavian folklore. The spirits of water are not monolithic. They are diverse, each with their own character and purpose. The Nøkken represents the dangers of still waters, the hidden threats beneath a calm surface. Fossegrim, by contrast, represents the power and beauty of moving water, the life-giving force of the waterfall. Together, they illustrate the duality of water in Scandinavian mythology, its capacity for both destruction and renewal. The artistic legacy of the Nøkken, as captured by Theodor Kittelsen, is a reminder of the enduring power of folklore. The spirit's tales continue to inspire creativity and provoke thought, offering timeless lessons about respect, temptation, and the delicate balance between humanity and. Kittelsen's work is not just a record of myth. It is a bridge between the past and the present, a way of keeping the spirit of the Nøkken alive in the modern world. The Nøkken and Fossegrim are not just figures of folklore. They are symbols of the natural world's complexity. The Nøkken's duality, both alluring and treacherous, reflects the unpredictable of water, its ability to sustain life and its potential to cause destruction. Fossegrim's benevolence and wrath mirror the power of the waterfall, a force that can be both nurturing and fearsome. When you encounter the Nøkken in art or story, remember that it is not just a creature of myth. It is a symbol of the natural world's beauty and danger, a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and. The spirit's tales, as shaped by artists like Theodore Kittelsen, continue to inspire, provoke thought, and offer timeless lessons about respect, temptation, and the fragile boundary between the seen and the unseen. The Nøkken and Fossegrim are not just figures of folklore. They are symbols of the natural world's complexity. The Nøkken's duality, both alluring and treacherous, reflects the unpredictable of water, its ability to sustain life and its potential to cause destruction. Fossegrim's benevolence and wrath mirror the power of the waterfall, a force that can be both nurturing and fearsome. When you encounter the Nøkken in art or story, remember that it is not just a creature of myth. It is a symbol of the natural world's beauty and danger, a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the spirit's tales, as shaped by artists like Theodore Kittelsen, continue to inspire, provoke thought, and offer timeless lessons about respect, temptation, and the fragile boundary between the seen and the unseen. The Nøkken does not stand alone in the global tapestry of water spirits. Across the North Sea, in the lochs and rivers of Scotland, there exists a creature that shares many of the Nøkken's traits, but also reveals important differences. This is the Kelpie, a shape-shifting water spirit whose legends parallel those of the Nøkken in both form and function, yet diverge in crucial ways that highlight the unique cultural perspectives of each region. Both the Nøkken and the Kelpie are masters of deception, appearing as beautiful white horses that graze near the water's edge, luring the unwary onto their backs before galloping into the depths. The mechanics of their hunting are nearly identical. The adhesive skin, the irresistible beauty, the fatal plunge beneath the surface. Both spirits embody the danger of still waters, the treacherous allure of the unknown, and the tragic fate of those who trust too easily. Yet the Kelpie's mythology is more singular in its focus. While the Nøkken appears in multiple forms, a handsome young man, an old man, a floating log, and even a musician, the Kelpie is almost exclusively associated with the horse form. This narrow range of transformations suggests a more primal, less nuanced spirit, one whose purpose is not to explore the complexities of human desire, but to fulfill a single, deadly role. The Kelpie's relationship with music is also different. While the Nøkken is famed for its haunting fiddle playing, a skill that draws listeners into a hypnotic trance, the Kelpie is not associated with music at all. Its lure is purely visual and physical, relying on the beauty of its form and the promise of a thrilling ride. This absence of music in Kelpie legends reflects a cultural emphasis on the physical dangers of water rather than the psychological or emotional dangers that the Nøkken embodies. The Kelpie's origins are rooted in a landscape of rugged lochs and fast-flowing rivers, where drowning was a constant threat. The spirit's legends served as warnings to children and travelers, teaching them to avoid the water's edge and to resist the temptation of a seemingly friendly horse. The Kelpie's tales are stark and direct, focusing on the physical act of drowning rather than the psychological manipulation that characterizes the Nøkken stories. The Nøkken, by contrast, reflects a more complex relationship with the natural world. Its multiple forms and musical abilities suggest a spirit that is not only dangerous, but also intelligent, capable of understanding and exploiting human psychology. The Nøkken's stories are layered with themes of temptation, desire, and the duality of beauty and danger, reflecting a cultural awareness of the subtler dangers that lurk beneath the surface. The protective measures against each spirit also reveal cultural differences. For the Kelpie, the most common defense is to grasp a bridle or mane, which can sometimes allow the victim to escape by riding the spirit to safety. For the Nøkken, the defenses are more varied, speaking its name, using steel, making the sign of the cross, reflecting a broader range of supernatural threats and a more complex set of cultural responses. The Kelpie's legends are also more localized, tied to specific lochs and rivers, while the Nøkken's stories span a wider geographical and cultural range. This suggests that the Kelpie was seen as a more immediate, localized threat, while the Nøkken was perceived as a universal danger present wherever water could be found. Both spirits serve as personifications of the dangers of water, but their differences reveal the unique cultural attitudes toward idyll, danger, and the supernatural. The Kelpie's singular focus on the horse form and the physical act of drowning reflects a culture that emphasizes the immediate, tangible dangers of the natural world. The Nøkken's multiple forms and psychological manipulation reflect a culture that recognizes the subtler, more complex dangers that lurk beneath the surface. The comparison between the Kelpie and the Nøkken also highlights the universal human fear of drowning. Both spirits embody the terror of the unknown, the fragility of life, and the power to claim the unwary. Their legends serve as timeless warnings, reminding us that the most beautiful things can also be the most dangerous, and that the boundary between life and death is often measured in a single breath held underwater. When you encounter a white horse grazing near the water's edge, consider which spirit you might be facing. Is this the Kelpie, a primal force of whose only purpose is to drown the unwary? Or is this the Nøkken, a more complex spirit whose beauty and music mask a deeper, more insidious danger? The answer may determine not only your survival, but of your encounter with the supernatural. The Kelpie and the Nøkken are not just figures of folklore. They are symbols of the universal human fear of drowning. Their legends continue to inspire, provoke thought, and offer timeless lessons about respect, temptation, and the delicate balance between humanity and orb. The comparison between these two spirits reveals the diversity of human responses to the dangers of water, and the enduring power of myth to shape our understanding of the world.